How did you get to New York City?
Moved here like 2010 from Chicago, or 2016 from Chicago.
Okay.
Was doing stand-up there for 6.5 years, and then just kind of, you can kind of top out in Chicago, so came out here.
Was New York always in the crosshairs? That was you always knew you wanted to be here, or not necessarily?
No, I mean, Chicago's kind of a transitional city stand-up wise. A lot of people who start there go somewhere else. There aren't a ton of people who just kind of stay there the whole time. So I knew I'd either go to New York or LA, and so just kind of over the years felt that out, and this is the one that felt right. Mm-hmm.
Have you always been the funny guy, the comedian? Were you like that as a kid?
I don't know if I wanted to be. I don't think I always succeeded. Yeah. I remember many years of just like just being loud, but not funny. Like as a kid. Yeah. There was a lot of like volume. Mm-hmm.
Did you get involved in comedy shows at a relatively early age, or did it take some time to get up on stage?
No, I was always I was really into music, so I was like a musician. I had a band in high school, and all those guys were so good. So I really liked the performing aspect, but I recognized what goodness was.
Talent.
And yeah, talent is another word. Goodness is the one I chose. But I recognized what talent was, so I just went a different direction. And I played this one acoustic song at like the high school talent show, and I had this like bit lined up about the guidance counselor. There was like a kind of a attractive new guidance counselor. So I just threw that one out there, and I got a pretty good laugh. And I really liked that feeling almost as much as the song I wrote. So since then, I kind of had like a little notebook, and then years later, I just kind of started trying it out.
Did you go to college?
Miami in Florida.
Okay.
Yeah.
With a specific path? Did you think you were going to be something else or go do something else?
Yeah, I thought I was going to be a musician at first, but that it took me about a month to realize that was wrong. And then I went into advertising. So that was that.
How long did that last? Was that your major? Were you focusing on that in college?
Yeah, double majored advertising and creative writing. And so, I mean, that did not prepare me at all for the ad world. You needed a portfolio, and they did not. They had a very sparse portfolio program. Like, honestly, if you want to go in advertising, you can do it with like a 1-year program. So Miami really stretched that out, and then did not prepare you for getting a job. So after college, I had to go to I did a 1-year portfolio program, and that's how I got into advertising. And I did that pretty much on and off. I've always had copy work until about like a year ago. And I think AI is kind of killing that industry.
Yeah.
Which is fine.
Did you know right when you were getting out of the University of Miami in this 1-year program that was comedy then a part of your life, that you were kind of trending in a certain direction?
Yeah. So I did my first open mic probably 2008. And then that was at like the Coconut Grove Improv in Miami. And yeah, I did it probably 10 times between 2008 and 2010. Maybe 15. And I would do some bringer mics in New York because my family was living in Connecticut. But yeah, so after college, I was like, I'll go to Chicago because we had lived in Chicago briefly in high school for a year. And so I was kind of familiar with the city. And then I was also aware of Second City just as an institution. And I also knew that I didn't want to go to New York or LA because of there's like a pressure industry wise in these places. It's a hard place to start. It's better to come kind of fully formed. So I had some insight into just like that. And then so Chicago felt right and good. Yeah.
Mostly as a hobby at first, or did you have a sense like this could become something significantly bigger in your life?
Yeah, I wanted to do it for real, but I also needed to make money.
Yeah.
So everything's a hobby until it's not. So yeah, for sure, hobby, and then, but it just became part of my life.
What is the Chicago scene like, or what was it like when you got there?
It was great. It's like that felt like college to me. I didn't really connect to Miami in any way. I wasn't like a party animal. I was more of a chill guy. Miami's not chill. I was kind of imagining California when I went out there, but Florida's not California and Miami is not LA. But once I got to Chicago, it was just like everyone's drinking, it's trains, everyone was young, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And there's a bunch of mics, there's no industry pressure. It was just like everyone's just having a good time. And so that really felt like I guess what I imagine a college would feel like, where it was like all my best friends are from that period of my life. And just, it was just so fun and good. And everyone was like, your whole purpose of comedy was very pure, where no one really was striving for anything except for to be funny to their friends. So that's like, yeah, I feel like it instilled a bunch of good qualities in me just being there. Like
a love of the game kind of thing.
Yeah. What are you actually doing this for? Because there's always going to be some sort of big fish, small pond type thing. Yeah. But there was no real hierarchy in terms of like, oh, if you do this and this and this, then you get this. It was more like there were the big shows that you hoped you would get. But aside from those, it was kind of just like, I really just want to get good at this and I want to be funny to my friends. So, and everyone was like, I want to write a lot because that was like what impressed your friends. So it instilled like good work ethic in me. And yeah, it instilled like a purity to what it is.
How often were you getting up on stage at that point?
Oh, all the time. I mean, I would do hundreds of sets a year. Yeah. Now I'm like way slower than that. Yeah. I don't need it as much. Like I don't do mics. I don't really need much to get a bit going. But at that time it was like a volume game. Yeah. Like that was kind of like there was like a grind aspect, but that was also like my early 20s. So you're like, you're going to do a lot more in your early 20s than you do. I'm like a father now and I'm almost 40. So it's like, I can't do that. But I also don't want to. It's just not, it's not what I need. And it's not what it sucks all the fun out of it. Jumping around 1,000 times a night. But in those years I did.
The clubs in Chicago that people are, if they are aspiring to the bigger venues, what are those? What's the Comedy Cellar of that city?
I don't know if there's like anything comparable, but Laugh Factory, when that came around, that was like massive for that community because it was just suddenly out of nowhere. There's this 300-person theater that is only booking local acts, and I can't think of many scenes that have that kind of, that kind of opportunity where you're just like, you can go to a small open mic, you can go to, a middle of nowhere, Midwest, kind of difficult room to do an hour. You can do like a Laugh Factory, which is just 300 people. You can do, all sorts of demographics of audience members. So you can get really good at just kind of like a variety of different crowds and spaces. And so I feel like Laugh Factory is huge. Now, I feel like the Lincoln Lodge is really big because that's all independently run. Comedians are running it, 3 rooms. That's like a good like breeding ground for talent. But when I was coming up, Laugh Factory is big. Yeah.
Did you have certain things that you liked to talk about, or did you model your sets on a comedian in some way that you really admired growing up? Like, did you have a sense of authenticity about yourself from kind of the jump?
I think when I started doing comedy, it came off as like cartoonish. I think I came off as like almost like Christopher Walken Hedberg. It's hard for me to watch early sets. It's even hard for me to listen to my first hour sometimes. Although to a lesser extent, I still like that. I like most of that. I almost like all the ideas better than the execution, but over time, all those, Hedbergy thing. You as a comedian, you always start modeled off of some other comedian because you don't know how to do it.
Yeah.
So like you always begin as something and then you evolve into yourself. But you need like a placemat for what you are. So I had like a Hedbergy quality delivery, but I was always more interested in long form stuff. And so I probably model my career mostly off of like Sean Patton, who's like, I think just so great at just really stretching a bit out, taking an idea. I remember I had a bit about being a sandwich artist at Potbelly, and my bit was one sentence. It was like a one-liner. I was like, if I'm a artist, I should get to choose what goes on your sandwich, and you should have to figure out why I did it. Yeah, and that was my bit. And then Sean Patton had a bit about being a sandwich artist at Potbelly, and it was 10 minutes long. And I was like, and it's the same general idea, except he became the artist, and he was dramatic. He had his head in his hand. He held up the fake skull. He was like, and I put this here because blah, blah, blah. It was just like, I stopped doing that bit immediately after I saw it. But I was like, oh, okay. So sometimes you just have a quick thought, but sometimes that thought is like, you can turn it into your whole, it can become a whole thing if you want it to. So I don't know. I model probably most after him. He's the one who inspires me the most. We don't really do similar stuff, but I like long form stuff.
I know you said you were there, I think, in Chicago for 6 years, something like that. How did you know it was time to leave?
You like top out, like you start headlining all the local showcases. I could do Laugh Factory as much as I wanted.
Wow.
I had recorded an hour, which at that time was not video. You make an album. So I made an album. I really felt like the top of that scene at that time. So you really need to be like pushed, and if the longer you're there, there's also a lot of turnover. All my friends are in New York, they're in LA, they're moving on. So it's like, you feel that pressure. So yeah, it just felt like, all right, time to go, I even felt like maybe I stayed a little too long, but yeah, you just feel like I've done what I can do here, and if I really want to grow, I have to be challenged by the comics around me. And you come to New York, and immediately you're on shows with comics who are so much better, and everybody just kind of like, that pushes you further.
You knew by that point that comedy is the thing. That's what you're going to be leading in your life. That meaning it's big enough for you that it'll justify a move from Chicago to New York.
Yeah, I Yeah, I knew that this is what I was, for sure doing, and I knew why I was doing it, and I was going to take a swing at it. Yeah.
Did you have contacts and work set up for you here before you got here, or did you come just believing you'll make that happen for yourself?
No, I went to Chicago raw, with no friendships or anything, and that was really difficult moving like that. It took me about a year to feel fully established. Coming to New York was easy. All my best friends were here. They were all crushing it. So I just kind of easily, I just knew exactly what shows I should hit up or what mics I should go to or where I should hang. And I had, 1,000 friends right away. Yeah, so it was an easy move for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What were those places that you knew, I got to go there, I got to be here? Just strategically, where did you kind of place yourself to hit the ground
I just
running?
went where my friends were at. So my buddy Kenny and Clark and Will, they were all running the knitting factory. So I'd hang at knit. I would go to Pine Box. They had an open mic that was hosted by buddies, and all my buddies were there. I immediately started running a show with other comics from Chicago, and so that became a hang. I never hung out at the clubs because it felt pointless, and the hang was worse. And man, so I just kind of went where my friends were at. Yeah.
Financially, were you at a point where you could take some more risks? How did you navigate the expense and the reality of living in New York City?
I mean, I got here and I immediately had what's so crazy is my apartment in Chicago. Me and my wife split a $700 rent. So it's
Almost
Chicago
free.
was, I was walking dogs barely in Chicago, and then just making money at Laugh Factory, and Laugh Factory sets weren't even that much, but I could put together $300 a month. I was living great in Chicago, and then I moved here, and my rent was immediately me and my wife were both paying $1,000, so it was a $2,000 studio with a lofted bed, and so my rent has now tripled, and I was like, how am I going to do this? But then I immediately got in at a moving company that there's this moving company, Intense Movers, and it was they have little pockets of artists. That's their whole thing. So there was a comedian pocket. So my buddy Kenny was working there. My buddy Lane was working there. My buddy Simmons, and so they all got me into that. So right away I was just making under the table cash, and I was making way more. We'd do 3 moves a day. You'd walk home with just a ton of money. You didn't have to really work that many days to figure it all out. Yeah. So I worked there pretty much until I moved to Jersey, which was 2022 or 3. Yeah, I guess 23. Yeah.
When you got here, did you have a specific kind of agenda or goals for yourself of where you were hoping to perform, what metrics you were trying to hit, or was it more just, I want to be in the soup of New York to get better?
There's everyone wants to work the cellar, so I wanted to work the cellar. And then there's the hot indie shows, at least when I was coming up. There's less of this now, but I wanted to do a Whiplash, wanted to do a Night Train, or a what was it too? Cabin. These were the big independent shows. And what's funny about independent shows is they all go away. So all of your dreams, become irrelevant. Every hot show that I grew up wanting to do is gone. And the ones that I really wanted to do, Comedians You Should Know, which started in Chicago, I ran that for 10 years. So that's how you figure out how insignificant these shows are. So many people put all this weight on these independent shows, they're going to do it and something's going to change. and they hate you if you don't put them up on it. But it's like no one's done. Comedians you should know more than me. 10 years in New York. And I mean, I'm sitting on your couch. It's a very nice couch, but like there's no, I see your bed and your, you know what I mean? There's nothing changes doing you're just doing it's just another set. So
meaning there's a common belief that if there is a popular independent venue like that and you run it for long enough that like magic will happen.
There's a belief that if you get certain things, something will happen. And in my experience, that is almost 100% never the case. And that's with independent venues. That's with like a Don't Tell taping or a Comedy Central taping or putting out an hour. I've done all these things. I put out 7 hours of material. I've been on Comedy Central. I've done Don't Tell. None of these things are, my career is fixed. They're all just like little successes in your own mind. And maybe they do slowly tick the needle in a direction, but it's never like you do it and then success. Yeah. It's all just a never ending slog to a uncertain end.
Yeah. It's not a get rich quick scheme. It's not winning the lottery.
No, it's not a get rich ever scheme.
So how do you think about those minor victories like that? That it is just this minor compounding momentum in some way, or it's just the love of the craft that keeps you coming back? I
have to separate it from like what I thought comedy was. So it's like every time I record an hour, it's all done for myself, and there is money in it. But it's got to just be because that's what feels good and right. And hopefully my hope and dream, and this has not worked out in any way, but like, I think if you just stay the course and you do it right, there is a place for you. But I mean, who knows? Maybe I'm wrong.
You said there is money in it. Where does the money come from?
So when you do an hour, SiriusXM pays my rent. Like it's like that's how I make all my money. It's just like XM, they're great. Yeah. And so a lot of comics that you see working the road or whatever, they are very grateful for this one giant company. Yeah. But I'm fortunate enough to have most of my stuff on there. So it's like every album I've recorded, every time it gets spins, I make money. So it's like, that's been awesome.
How did that opportunity come about?
Just, I had these albums, and my buddy Andy was making, he was on XM, and he was getting a ton of money, and he told me about it, and I was like, that's crazy. I have all of it. I have it because I didn't know you could even make money this way, like from albums. So I was like, all right. I self-submitted my first 2 hours, and then they took them, and then they spun them, and that's how I was like living my life, pretty much up until the pandemic, and then they went out of rotation, and then after the pandemic, I recorded 2 hours that got spun, that jump started the previous hours, but I also recorded a clean. It's a dirty hour and a half, which the record company, I sent it to Ghost Runner Records. They don't take self-submissions anymore. So Ghost Runner Records, run by 2 comics, they condensed this dirty hour and a half into a clean 50. And then if you can record clean and get that on XM, because so many comics aren't doing that.
Yeah.
There's a lot of clean channels on XM that need content, and so those get played a lot. So like there is a strategic advantage.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know if you're comfortable sharing the details, but it sounds like this is like residuals. Like you get every time it's played nationally or on a certain segment of the country, you get a kickback.
Yeah, every time they play it, they pay you. Yeah. So it's it's basically like it's the money has been akin to if I had a Netflix special or whatever.
Wow.
Where it's like you get it's just like a filthy little secret.
It's funny because I've probably met 40 to 50 comedians in the last year. I've never heard SiriusXM radio being a revenue source from anyone.
Oh man. Well, I also record more hours than most.
Yeah.
I think a lot of comics, a lot of famous comics, a lot of comics who aren't doing things that I can't even imagine. You know, they'll record an hour or two, just have it out as proof of concept, and they'll just have a career. This is my kind of career. So it's like I have a volume that is kind of extensive. So it's like, But yes, if you are a working comic, XM is like a huge,
The volume meaning that you just have more hour-long sets that are long form that you've submitted to SiriusXM than most people have.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that's an advantage, it sounds like.
Yeah. I mean, so it's like, it's all I do is I write and record hours. So I have 7 of them. I have 6 of them out, and then I just recorded my 7th. So that's like kind of a lot. And so, you know, if even a portion of that gets played, that's like a big win.
Was there a point at which you were able to completely get out of advertising and go into comedy? It sounds like that may have happened a while ago.
Oh yeah. I mean, I would pick up ad work, copywriting stuff. I mean, it's always been just kind of this like bastard construction of jobs. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where it's like the moving company. I work for a construction company now. I do staging for a realty company in Jersey. And then copywriting was always just kind of a part of that, you know, amalgamation of work that I was doing.
Yeah.
But recently that has just kind of gone away. And I think that's due to the advent of AI. And I know a ton of people who just like, they don't require a freelance copywriter anymore.
Yeah.
Because they got freelance robot.
Yeah.
So now all the work I do is like, I'm trying to like AI proof what's going on. Yeah.
How do you work? I don't know if you have a structured hour every other day, every morning. How do you actually come up with the voluminous material that's required to do an hour set? Are there habits that you swear by or that you live by that have really helped allow that to happen?
Yeah. So the only daily requirement is I think of the previous day and I write a paragraph on the moment of highest emotional resonance. And so this is just like, it's just a trick I learned from like a TED Talk. It's just like a guy, can't even remember his name, but he was like a storyteller. And so he's like trying to explain how, if you want to be a storyteller, how do you generate stories? And he was talking about how we all have like 5 stories, where you almost die, or your great romance, or like I don't know, you murder a guy, depending on what you're doing.
Yeah,
we've all got 5 of those, and so if you want to be a storyteller, you can't. That's once you tell those 5, you're done. So you have to find other stories in your life. And so his example is like he was walking his dog in the rain, and then he hated it. And he's like miserable. But then he looked at his dog and he realized his dog's all old. And he's like, oh, this might be the last time I ever walk this dog in the rain. And so he saw some sort of value to that. And so, that's just a little moment. It's not a big story, but there is an emotional arc, and that's something that he can expand upon on stage and screen. But so that's what I do every day. Is I look back at the previous day, I find the moment of highest emotional resonance, and then I write a paragraph on that moment. Yeah. So I haven't done it today yet, but I can try to think of what got me I guess my daughter was all right. So we were at dinner with another family, and my daughter wanted ice cream for dessert, and their kid isn't allowed to have ice cream. So I was trying to get my daughter to stop talking about ice cream because their son can't have it. And so he's like, why can't I have ice cream? And she would not stop. And so we had to leave dinner because she would not stop talking about ice cream. And then I didn't give her ice cream. And so this is the moment that was most perilous and fraught. And so it's not even there's never most of the time it's just little stuff like that. But then when I look at it, sometimes it sticks out to me as oh, this is so so much of my comedy is just little moments like that that are just socially difficult. And so, maybe that goes nowhere, but that's what's going into a notebook. And if I find value in it, I'll expand upon that. And then the other way I generate material is I have thoughts throughout my day. And so if I have a funny thought, I'll write it down in a phone. So and then I'll just kind of write on that. So I'll try to see if I got any funny thoughts for you. All right. Yeah. So my family has learned how to unlock the bathroom door, and I don't think, my life has any value anymore. That's the funny thought I had, because that was the one time when there's a reason all fathers are always in the bathroom, and it's just because that's the door that locks and no one's allowed in. And so it's you go into the bathroom and you stay in the bathroom for a long time because no one else can get in there, and that's your moment alone. And now they've taken that from me. So, yeah.
Any autonomy is just gone.
So now my whole life is, they've taken my life away. So that's the funny thought I had.
Do you write at a certain time of the day every day, or is it just a random when you have time?
Yeah, I mean, I used to have a system, but now I work every day, so I'm now it's just kind of whenever I can squeeze in a moment. When I used to have full control of my life, but when I was working at the moving company, I put in what days I wanted, and I'd go in, I'd make a ton of money. When we moved to Jersey, there's no version of that. I could make so much money in one day and just choose what day that is.
Yeah.
There's a lot less flexibility. I also have a kid, so I have to pick her up at 2:30 every day. So now, it's all just after I put her down to sleep, I'll try to write if I can, if I'm not going out. Or if I have a day off, I have to really be militant. But now I'm just kind of trying to, get everything squeezed in there. I just recorded an hour, so I have no motivation to write anything. So I don't know when I'll next write a bit.
Yeah.
I think I just did. So maybe that'll be my next bit.
How has being a father affected you as an artist? My gut would be that it's made it much harder to be creative and to have the space necessary to do what you do, but maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah, I mean, since I had my daughter, my stand-up output has like increased 1,000%.
Really?
Yeah, just because I have to be like kind of militant. Like I used to just, dude, my breakfast before I had a kid would be like, I'd wake up at like 10 and then I'd just eat breakfast until like 2. And then I'd work out, go do shows, you know?
Yeah.
I had a very soft life. And now everything is so like taxing mentally, and every set I do is punishment because I have to wake up whenever she wakes up. So like, you know, today, thank God, you know, she woke up at like 7:35. So that's awesome. But sometimes she wakes up at like 6.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm out till like 2:30 in the morning, and then I wake up at 6, and then I have to live a whole life, and then I have to go out again. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, yeah, everything is very stressed, but the pressure has forced me to really use my time better. So when I wake up, if I have that day off, I'm going to write. Yeah. So it's like it's not like dicking around anymore. And every time I went up on a local show or my own show, I made sure to have material I hadn't done before. So I was always working on something. Yeah. And so that's the way it's got to be. You always got to be working if you wanted to. I can't like really rest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How often are you performing live these days? And where are you? Where are you performing? I know you were down the street for a while, but where else are you performing these days?
It all depends on like what your goal is.
Yeah.
So this past spring has been the busiest I've ever been, like road wise. So I was I was all over the place. I was in Boston and New Hampshire and Texas, North Carolina. I was in Chicago. I've got a local show in Jersey. I ran a weekly in Brooklyn. It was all ramping up to this recording. So now the recording's over. I'm kind of chilling. Yeah. So like I have other writing aspirations and other things I want to work on. I've got pilots. I have show ideas. So kind of want to do that a little more. But like I still have my local show in Jersey, and then I have local spots around town, and the next road stuff is like I'm going to Milwaukee in June, and then I've got Vermont in October, and I'm not really trying to really only want to do the road when I have like a new hour or an hour I'm working on, because otherwise it just feels like I'm leaving my family to rehash an hour I've already done. It feels like kind of anti productive or whatever.
Yeah.
So the purpose of the road is always to like flush out all the bits that I've been working on in New York. So now that I've put out this hour, I have to write all that. So I'll probably just be in New York, with the small exceptions of the Laughing Tap in Milwaukee and Vermont Comedy Club in October. I mean, maybe shit'll get tacked on. But right now I'm just kind of like, I don't have much motivation.
You said earlier there's no get rich quick schemes, and there's often no get rich at all in comedy. Do you feel though that you just said this is some of the busiest times you've had in work, if I understood that correctly? Do you feel like that micro compounding momentum is there, that there is at a 30,000 foot view some progress and things are trending in the right direction?
Oh yeah. I mean, I look at my stand up now, and just the way I present myself. And if you look at the hour I just recorded versus the hour I recorded first, it's like totally different thing. I'm very much in my prime. It's just funny that my prime looks kind of like this. But yeah, I mean, there's creatively, leaps and bounds. I can do stuff I wasn't capable of doing. Monetarily too, I make more money than I've ever made. I can headline the road kind of more or less as much as I want. I have a young daughter, so I don't want and can't, so now my restrictions come from my like personal life, because like every time I go on the road, it's a punishment to my wife, because she now has to solo parent for a weekend, and she works a full-time job. So it's like, her weekend becomes just more work.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's a balancing act. How much can I go on the road? The only reason I went on the road so much is because I was like ramping up for this hour. And so like, that's why I really have to be thoughtful about what I'm doing. Like, either I have to make a lot of money, and so where it's like inexcusable for me to not be on the road.
Yeah.
And that is rare.
Yeah.
Normally the amount of money is like, okay, I get why he left, but it's not like, oh, his family's going to be okay now. Yeah. It's like, all right, that's like a standard life for a person.
Yeah.
So the money either has to be there, or creatively it has to serve some purpose. And if those two things don't exist, then I don't really go.
I always love to close by asking guests about how they think about the word success. And I'd love to put that to you at this point in your life and career, how you think about that word, what that word means to you.
I mean, in terms of my like pursuing stand-up, I feel like I've succeeded. Like, I did it. You know what I mean? I wrote all these hours. Some of them I find to be great. Like, I think my fifth hour and my most recent hour are like great. And I feel that way, truly. I've achieved a lot of the things I wanted to achieve. I got passed at the Cellar, even though I don't really work there much now. Yeah. But it happened. I wanted to be in that room, and I got to, and I was there. And regardless of how emotionally taxing that was, it was like, I did it. I got to be on Comedy Central. I've done tapings. I make a lot of money from stand-up. I've achieved a lot of the things I wanted to achieve. So in terms creatively, I've hit a lot of milestones. Unfortunately, it's not enough to support like a family. So like, success now to me would be making enough money where I could just do it, but I could also like afford a house. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But it's always like, the finish line is always moving forward. Right. You never really like, success to me in 2010 would have been to do Comedians You Should Know. You know what I mean? Now I've run that show for 10 years. So that's not, now that feels a little less like success and more like if that was my only goal, then that would be a failure. Yeah. But like, it keeps moving. So now success needs to be, it's all family oriented now, where it's like, I need to be able to like afford the family I have. Dude, thanks for doing this. Hey, thank you for having me. You got it. Yeah.